Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, we're back. We want to do another video and we want to bring out some understanding, some edification on pinpointing our biblical year and showing the exact day that it's reconciled according to scripture. But first and foremost, I want to say happy prep day to everybody prepping today. Today is the 21st day of the biblical month as far as the calendar of the Most High is concerned. Genesis 1:14. Today is also March 20th, 2025. It is the equinox, and today is the 364th day in the sun. Today is the last day of our biblical month. So we want to go into scripture as our foundational scripture. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 instructs us, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So we want to go into scripture and we're going to prove exactly where we're at. We're going to pinpoint the location of where we're at today. We're going to show how the year is reconciled. We're going to also show where the month of Abib begins. And we're going to also we want to go into scripture and prove all of that precept upon precept, line upon line. So I just want to go into get a couple of definitions as far as what pinpointing means. So I'm going to start there. Let me pull this up. Okay, can you see that up?
Yes.
Can you go ahead and read that for me, please?
Okay, what is the meaning of pinpoint? To pinpoint something is to nail down its exact location.
So pinpoint means to nail down the exact location. So like I said, today being the equinox, being March 20th, 2025, we're gonna nail down exactly and show you in scripture, according to scripture, that today is the last day of our biblical year, being the 364th day. And we're gonna show how to reconcile the year as well. So I want to get a definition for that as well. You see that up?
Yes. Okay, this is the definition for reconcile. Reconcile, restore friendly relations between.
So when it says restore friendly relations between, this is meaning that this is the exact time that the sun as well as the moon come together to bring to close the year out and to also bring the year in as well. So this is what we're going to go in the scripture. We're going to show how to reconcile and pinpoint that as well. All right. So can you give me Genesis 1:14?
Okay, this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Go ahead and read it.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and read it.
And it is Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, and it reads, And Yahuwah said, Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
So right here, this is the calendar of the Most High, Genesis 1:14, and it's a luni-solar calendar. Now, we've shown multiple times that the word season in this particular verse is not talking about weather. It's talking about the appointed time. So this is Strong's Concordance 4150, appointed time. So all of our appointed times are listed in Leviticus 23. So when it says, and for years, we're going to also show in scripture that the years are determined by the sun as well as the stars. And so verse 16 says, and Yahuwah made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and he made the stars also. So the calendar of the Most High is a luni-solar calendar, but we must take into account all of the luminaries, and we must use the luminaries for what they were created for, right? So I just want to make that point there. So give me Sirach 43 in verse 6. Let me pull that up. Sirach 43, verse 6 and 7.
It's Sirach chapter 43, verse 6, and it reads, He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
So right here is telling us clearly that the Most High, Yahuwah, he made the moon to serve in her seasons. This season here is Strong's Concordance 4150, which means the appointed times. So clearly it's saying right here, he made the moon to serve in her appointed times for a declaration, meaning an announcement of times and a sign of the world. So the moon is the sign of the feast. So regardless of where we're at in the world, we all see the same sun as well as the same moon. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 7.
Verse 7, and it reads, from the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
So it says from the moon is a sign of feast. And let's grab Leviticus 23 and verse 1 real quick. I want to show this as well, because it said right there, from the moon is a sign of feast. So pick it up at verse 1 through 3.
This is Leviticus chapter 23, starting at verse 1, and it reads, and Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahuwah, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feast. Verse 3, he says, verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahuwah in all your dwellings.
So clearly when we read Sirach 43 and verse 6, and it says he made the moon to serve in her season, and verse 7 says from the moon is a sign of feast. The very first feast listed in Leviticus 23, where all of our feasts we're commanded to keep, the very first one is our weekly Sabbath. So clearly in scripture, we're commanded to keep the feast according to the moon, which it was created for. But like I said, the calendar of the Most High is a lunisolar calendar, right? So the years are determined by the sun as well as the stars, right? So we want to go into, I want to just give some, expound a little bit on the equinox, right? Because like I said, today is March 20th, 2025. Today is the equinox. So I want to show this as well. Pull this up because there's 2 equinoxes that take place every year. So I want to show this first. And I'm on my phone, so I'm scrolling through. Let me see where is. Okay. Okay, so there's 2 equinoxes that take place every year. The autumnal equinox takes place in September 22nd. And this is where the autumnal equinox is the equinox that takes place in the fall. So when this equinox takes place, this is where we are bringing in the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, as well as Tabernacle. So this is the autumnal equinox. The equinox today, being March 20th, 2025, is the vernal equinox. So this equinox here is where we bring in our spring feasts, right? So the equinox takes place twice in a year. So according to this, the equinox takes place twice in a year. Again, the autumnal equinox, September 22nd. The vernal equinox or the spring equinox takes place on March 20th. So these are the 2 equinoxes that take place, right? So what we have to understand is that the equinox, like I said, this is the 360 this is the 364th day as far as the calendar of the Most High is concerned with the sun. So I just wanted to make a point of that as well, right? So let's go into scripture, and we're going to show and pinpoint exactly where we're at as far as this is concerned. So let's pick it up at see where I want to go with this. Let's pick it up at Enoch 74. We'll go right to Enoch 74. And I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can follow along as far as where we're at. Enoch 74 And we'll pick it up at verse 13.
Mhm.
Well, let me show this, because this, you know, these Enochs be a little different. So let me show that on my other screen. Go ahead, it's on the screen. Enoch
Okay.
74, verse 13.
Okay, Enoch 74, verse 13, and it reads, "And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days."
So again, according to the calendar of the Most High, Genesis 1:14, which is a luni-solar calendar, this says right here in Enoch 74, verse 13, that the sun and the stars bring in the years exactly, so that they do not advance nor delay their position by a single day unto eternity. So unto eternity. So this is the command that the Most High has given us in order to reconcile the year. So it says, by a single day unto eternity, but complete the years in perfect justice in 364 days. So just like we read the definition of reconcile, they come together to reconcile the year. The sun and the stars bring in the year precisely as it's saying right here. Hey, let's get Jubilees 6. I want to make another point of this as well. Jubilees 6. And let's pick that up. Jubilee 6. And give me verse 23.
This is the book of Jubilees, chapter 6, verse 23. And it reads, "And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever."
So also the sun and the stars bring in the year in 364 days, but this is talking about the 4 divisions in the sun, or the season. So this season here is talking about the 4 divisions in the year, meaning spring, summer, fall, and winter. So this is what this is saying. So it's telling us that it takes place the new moon of the first month, which would be the month of Abib. And so it's telling us also that the new moon of the 4th month, the new moon of the 7th month, and then the new moon of the 10th month. So again, we have 2 equinoxes that take place: the vernal equinox, which takes place in the 1st month, and this is at that equinox. And in the 7th month, which is the autumnal equinox, this is where that takes place. So I just wanted to go here and show that and make a point of that as well. So what we have to understand also is that as far as the sun is concerned, each season lasts 13 weeks or 3 months or 91 days. So as far as the sun is concerned, each season is 30, 30, 31. And when you multiply that times 4, that's 364 days in a complete biblical year. So I want to show that also. Let me show that on the screen also. So this is what we just read in Jubilee 6:23. So as you can see here on this example, this is the sun and the stars bringing the year at 364 days here. And it says that each season is 4 divisions in the sun. So it's spring, summer, fall, and winter. These are the 4 divisions in the sun. So again, each season lasts 30, 30, and 31. So today is the last day in the sun, which is the 31st day. We're in the 12th biblical month. So this is the 4 divisions in the sun. So I just wanted to make a point of that as well. So let's pick it up. Give me Enoch 82, verse 8 through 10. And we'll further expound on this as well. So we're going in the scripture and we're showing exactly where we're pinpointing the biblical year. So we're going to show exactly through scripture and make the point that we are at our 364th day as far as our biblical year is concerned. And we're going to show exactly where our year starts, which is tomorrow at the rising of the sun.
This is Enoch chapter 82.
Yeah, Enoch 82,
verse 8.
pick it up in
verse 8.
I gotta get over. Let me get over there.
Okay.
Go ahead. Pick it up at verse 8.
This is Enoch chapter 82, starting at verse 8, and it reads, "In the reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the four which are intercalated, which divide the four portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days."
So what this is saying is that as the sun moves through the gates, and as and the four seasons come in, this is why I just showed the four seasons in the four divisions in the sun. So it's talking about when the four seasons of the year takes place, there's a specific constellation that also must accompany the sun as well. Because again, Enoch 74:13 says that the sun and the stars bring in the year precisely. So as the year is bringing in as the sun is bringing in the year, the stars also must play their part. Again, when we read Genesis 1 verse 16, it says he made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night, and he made the stars also. So we have to use the luminaries for what they were created for, and this is what this is talking about. Pick it up at verse 9.
Verse 9, and it reads, "Owing to them men shall be at fault, and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault, and not recognize them accurately."
So what this is saying is that the count is 30, 30, 31, which I said is when you multiply that times 4, that's 91 days. 91 times 4 is 364 days. That 31st day is the intercalary day. These days are accounted into the equation of the 364 days as far as the sun is concerned. So it's saying if you don't account for these days, then you're going to go wrong as far as determining the biblical year. Because again, for those that follow the Gregorian calendar, that calendar is a solar only calendar and it's 365 days. So the Gregorian calendar doesn't even account for the moon, which we read in Sirach 43 verse 6. It says he made the moon for seasons. So right there, the Gregorian calendar does not account for the moon, and it also is against the scripture because the scripture is clearly telling us that the year is established in 364 days opposed to 365 days. Go ahead and pick it up at verse where we at, verse 10?
Verse 10.
Go ahead.
This is verse 10, and it reads, "For they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days."
So again, it's talking about the intercalary days. So it's telling you that in order for this count to be reconciled at 364 days, the count must include the intercalary days, the 4 days that go along with the 4 divisions in the year. And it says that one takes place in the first portal, and one takes place in the third portal, one takes place in the fourth portal, and one takes place in the sixth portal, and the year is completed in 364 days. So what we're going to deal with today, as far as pinpointing the year, we're going to deal with the third portal as well as the first portal. The third portal is where the year is, our biblical year ends, which is today, as far as the equinox is concerned, being the 364th day. The year then begins at the rising of the sun, and it takes place in the we're dealing with the third gate and the fourth gate. The year takes place in the fourth gate. So we're going to go in the scripture and show that. So drop down, give me verse 20.
This is Enoch 82, verse 20, and it reads, in the beginning of the year, Melchijah rises first and rules, who is named Tamani and son. And all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days.
So it says all the year it bears rule. It's talking about the stars, right? So it's specific stars that must accompany the sun as he's bringing in the year. Again, it says the sun and the stars bring in the year precisely. So I want to read this from this is from Philo, from the works of Philo from creation. So can you see that? Can you read that from you?
Yes, this is works of Philo from the title is the creation, and it reads, and the sun, the ruler of the day, making two equinoxes every year, both in the spring and autumn. The spring equinox in the constellation of Aries, and the autumnal one in Libra, gives the most, huh?
Go ahead, go ahead.
And the autumnal one in Libra gives the most evident demonstration possible of the divine dignity and of the number 7.
So I want to make a point of this because, again, we're talking about two equinoxes that take place. The autumnal equinox that takes place in September 22nd, and the vernal equinox that takes place today, March 20th, 2025. So this is what this is talking about. So as you see here, it says the spring equinox or the vernal equinox in the constellation of Aries. So again, when it says in Enoch 74, verse 13, that the sun and the stars bring in the years precisely, that this is telling us that when the year is reconciled and the beginning of the year, when the sun brings in the year, the stars must be in Aries. And Aries is also called the Lamb. So this is what this is talking about here. And so I want to make a point of this. The equinox, again, today is March 20th, 2025. This is the last day or the 364th day in our biblical year. So at the rising of the sun, which every biblical day starts at the rising of the sun, and we'll show also that the year is also beginning at the rising of the sun. So as it rises tomorrow at the rising of the sun will be March 21st. And it tells us right here that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac considered to govern from March 21st until April 19th. So again, the sun and the stars bring in the years precisely that in 364 days. So I just wanted to make a point of that as well. So, and then too, the thing is too, we're talking about constellations and stars, but we're not talking about zodiacs and all of that, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference between looking at them as far as our birth signs and all of that. These are constellations that the Most High put in place, and they signify specific things. Like I said, the sun and the stars bring in the year, but also the stars, they have to be in Aries, and it's just showing that right there, right? So let's go back to Jubilees, not Jubilee, Enoch 71, and let's pick it up and we're going to pinpoint today and show where we're at as far as the biblical year is concerned. So let's pick that up. Enoch 71, and we'll start at verse 1.
Okay. This is Enoch chapter 71, starting at verse 1. And it reads, the book of the revolutions of the luminaries of heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, their respective names, the places where they commence their progress, and their respective months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, explained to me, he who conducts them, the whole account of them according to every year of the world forever until a new work shall be effected, which will be eternal.
So this is the holy angel Uriel, and he's explaining to Enoch how the revolutions, how the luminaries function and how they work, as far as the months, as far as the gates is concerned. This is what this is talking about. Pick it up at verse 2.
Verse 2, and it reads, this is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east, and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven.
So again, this is the first law of the luminaries. It says the sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven. So it says which are on the east and on the west. So every biblical day starts in the east at the rising of the sun. This is what this is saying. And the biblical day, which consisted of 12 hours of light called day, like Hamashiach said in John 11 and verse 9, when the sun sets in the west, that is the ending part of the 12 hours of light called day. It is then followed by 12 hours of darkness called night, just as Genesis 1 and 5 says. So I just want to make a point of that. Pick it up at verse 3, Ak.
Verse 3, and it reads, I beheld the gates whence the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets.
So again, the sun as well as the moon rise in the east and set in the west. Go ahead, pick it up at verse 4.
Verse 4, in which gates also the moon rises and sets, and I beheld the conductors of the stars among those who preceded them. 6 gates were in at the rising, and 6 at the setting of the sun.
So this is the gates that it takes place. I want to show this too. Let me show this. I want to show these gates. Like I said, we're dealing with the third gate and the fourth gate. So as far as the gates is concerned, these are it's 6 gates in total. The gates go 4, 5, 6, and it goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 3. So as far as what we're talking about right now, we're going into we're in the winter months, so we're going into the third gate. So we want to show that the year ends out in the third gate, and also that the year starts over again in the fourth gate. So we're going to go in the scripture and show that. So I just wanted to make a point of that. So let's pick it up at Enoch 74, and let's drop down and pick it up at verse 35. Let me pull that up again. And I just want to give a disclaimer as far as Enoch is concerned too, because a lot of people have the book of Enoch, and I will say that Enoch can be very confusing as far as reading it. At least for me, when I first started reading Enoch is a book that you have to read a couple of times, because you'll read it, and a lot of people say they read Enoch, but reading Enoch and understanding Enoch is two completely different things. So I just want to make the point of that. So I'm trying to bring out some understanding, some edification as far as how this takes place and how this works. So we're going to pick it up at verse 35. Like I said, we're showing how the year closes out, and we're going to pinpoint exactly where we're at today, which is the equinox. Go ahead, I'll pick it up at verse 35.
This is Enoch 71, verse 35, and it reads, the sun has thus completed its beginnings, and a second time goes around from these beginnings.
Because what you have to understand is that in the sixth gate and in the first gate, these are the gates where the sun returns and comes back again. So this is what this is talking about. It says that the sun has thus completed its beginning, and a second time goes round from these beginnings. So this is what it's talking about. So now it's closing out the year. It's going to make a complete turn and come back to start the year all over again. Pick up at verse 36, Al.
Verse 36, into that gate it enters for 30 days and sets in the west in the opposite part of heaven.
So again, it says it enters into that gate 30 days and sets in the west. Like I said, the west is the ending of the day. So this is what this is talking about. Go ahead, verse 37, Al.
Verse 37, at that point the night is contracted in its length a fourth part, that is, one portion, and becomes 11 parts.
So when it says it's contracted, it's meaning it's decreased or shortened, because you can see that the nights are starting to get shorter, and eventually, when we move into the fourth gate, you'll see that the day portion is going to be lighter, longer than the night portion. This is what this is talking about. When it says contracted, it's meaning decreases or shortened. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 38.
Verse 38, the day is 7 parts. Then the sun returns. Then the sun returns and enters into the second gate of the east.
So now the sun returns, and we see that we're now in the second gate. So again, like I said, in the end of the year, it's the first gate, the second gate, and the third gate. So you see we're in the second gate now, is what it's telling us. Go ahead, Up.
Verse 40, it returns by these beginnings 30 days, rising and setting.
So when we were in the first gate, when we was in the first gate, you see it said it was in that gate for 30 days. Now it's in the second gate, and it's saying it's 30 days in this gate as well. Go ahead.
Verse 41, it reads, at that period, the night is contracted in its length. It becomes 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. Then the sun goes from that second gate and sets in the west, but returns to the east and rises in the east. In the third gate, 31 days, setting in the west of heaven.
So this, when it says again that the night is contracted, it means that the night is shortened, and it becomes 10 parts, and the day is 8 parts. So it's balancing itself out. So it says, then he goes forth in the second gate and sets in the west. So again, the setting in the west means that it's the ending point of the day, as well as the ending point of this particular 30-day period, right? And it says right here, but returns to the east and rises in the east. So every biblical day starts at the rising of the sun. This is what this is telling us. And now it's rising in the east in the third gate, it says, for 31 days, setting in the west of heaven. So again, when we showed the calendar for the 4 divisions in the sun, it said 30, 30, 31. So this is what this is talking about. So it's telling us that this 31 days, and we're in that gate right now. So this is what this is talking about. Go ahead, pick it up at verse 42.
Verse 42, at that period, the night becomes shortened. It is 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day. The year is precisely 364 days.
So at this point here, it says, at this period, the night becomes shortened, and it's 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day. The year is precisely 364 days. So right here, this is talking about the equinox. So today being March 20th, 2025 is the equinox. And according to the book of Enoch, this is the 364th day. This is what this is talking about. It says right here that it says the night is equal to the day. So again, when Hamashiach says it's but 12 hours in the day, absolutely. And if it's saying here that the night is equal to the day, then we would have to conclude that if it's 12 hours of the light called day, there's 12 hours of darkness called night. A complete biblical day consists of a 24-hour period. So this is telling us the night is equal to the day. The year is precisely 364 days. So today, being March 20th, 2025, today is the equinox, and this is the last day of our biblical month. So I just wanted to make a point of that. And let me show this as well. Let me show this. Equinox. So the word equinox is meaning equal, and nox is meaning night. So equal parts day and night is what this is telling us right here. So I just wanted to make a point of that also. So this is the last day. So this is, we're pinpointing exactly where we're at, right? So I want to show this as well on here. I'm trying to make sure we make the point of everything and show that, some people don't subscribe to the book of Enoch, but the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees is where we get the understanding as far as the sun is concerned. And so when we go into these books, we know exactly exactly where we're at and exactly what's going on based on scripture first and foremost, but everything else falls into place. Can you read that for me, Art?
Yes, the spring equinox begins this year on Thursday, March the 20th, 2025.
So as Jubilees, as Enoch said, equal parts day and night is the 364th day. So today is the equinox, which means this is the last day of our biblical year. So I just wanted to make a point of that as well. So now that we've established where we're at, let's establish where the year also begins as well. And I want to make a point of well, let me make this point of this, and then I'll show where the year comes in. Well, let me. I'm just trying to see if I want to go there. Give me Jubilees 6 in verse 36.
This is Jubilees chapter 6, verse 36. You pull it up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jubilees chapter 6, verse 36, and it reads, "For there will be those who will surely make observations of the moon. Now it disturbeth the seasons and cometh in from year to year, 10 days too soon."
So it tells us right here that the moon comes in 10 days too soon. And I had him read that because I want to make a point. Because again, today is the last day, the 364th day, as far as our year is concerned. But I want to make a point and show this because it said that the moon comes in 10 days too soon. So I want to make a point of this. We're going to make a couple of points concerning this as well. So when it says that the moon comes in 10 days too soon, the black circle represents the equinox, the vernal equinox, which takes place March 20th, 2025. This is what this is saying. So for those of us that follow the calendar of the Most High, today is also a prep day, which means on the calendar of the Most High, it's the 21st day of the 12th biblical month. So we're looking for the Sabbath to begin at the rising of the sun, which would be the 22nd day of the 12th month, and it would be confirmed with the moon being the last quarter moon. The scripture says in Psalms 89:37 that the moon is a faithful witness in the Shamayim. So tomorrow in evening, and evening simply means sunset. When we look up, we're going to have confirmation that tomorrow is the third Sabbath of the 12th biblical month. So I wanted to make that point as well. So another point, when it says that the year starts the next day at the rising of the sun, that would be the 21st day right here. And we're going to go in the scripture and show that, but I wanted to make this point of that as well. So the Jubilees, can you read that Jubilees 6 and 36 again?
This is Jubilees chapter 6, verse 36, and it reads, "For there will be those who will surely make observations of the moon. Now it disturbeth the seasons and cometh in from year to year, 10 days too soon."
So it says that the moon comes in 10 days too soon. So if today is the equinox, being the 364th day, the last day of the month, we're looking for new moon day to come in March 30th, which is going to signify the first month of the year, like scripture tells us. So when we do the simple math, if we count from the 21st, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when the scripture says in Jubilees 6:36 that the moon comes in 10 days too soon, this is showing that is exactly correct, because today, March 20th, is the last day, equal parts day and night, the 364th day. So when we look at this calendar, we see that the moon is exactly 10 days too soon before the year has been reconciled. So I just want to make a point of that as well. So let's pick it up and show where our year starts at. Let's go back to, let's pick it back up at Enoch 71 and verse 8 through 10. And I want to make a point of this also too, is that There's some that have already kept what they call Passover, and there's some other people that will keep Passover this month as well. And we just showed that it's no way that Passover can be kept prior to the equinox. The equinox is the equal parts day and night, the 364th day in the sun. So if anybody has kept Passover prior to that, then according to the scripture, it has not been kept correctly. So we just wanted to go in the scripture to show that. So we're going to show where the year actually begins. So let me pull that up again. Enoch 71, and we'll start at verse. Verse 8. That
This is Enoch chapter 71, verse 8, and it reads, "The sun sets in heaven, and returning by the north to proceed towards the east is conducted so as to enter by that gate and illuminate the face of heaven."
So we read that the year ends in the third gate as the sun sets in the west. Now we're reading at the top of the chapter, verse 8. It says, "The sun sets in heaven and returning by the north to proceed towards the east." So as it rises in the east is what this is saying. It's conducted so that to enter that gate and illuminate the face of heaven. Go ahead, pick it up at verse 9.
Verse 9, "In the same manner it goes forth in the first month by a great gate."
So it says it goes forth in the first month by a great gate. So this is what this is talking about. So it says in the first month. That's important here. Go ahead, pick it up at verse 10.
Verse 10, and it reads, "It goes forth through the fourth of those 6 gates, which are at the rising of the sun."
Read that again, you went out.
Enoch 71, verse 10, and it reads, "It goes forth through the fourth of those 6 gates, which are at the rising of the sun."
So again, it says that our new year takes place the first month, as far as the sun is concerned, the first day of the month takes place in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. So right here it's telling us that every biblical day starts at the rising of the sun, but it's also telling us that the first day of our year begins with the sun in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. Again, we read in Enoch 70. Can you read that verse again about the equal parts day and night?
That was in Jubilees, right?
No, verse 42.
Enoch 71, verse 42. And it said, "And that period, the night becomes shortened or contracted. It is 9 parts, and the 9 is equal with the day. The year is precisely 364 days."
So right there, our last day in the sun of our year, which the sun and the stars bring in the years precisely, it ends in the third gate. That is the 364th day. That's when it's equal parts day and night. The next day at the rising of the sun, as we're reading here, is the first month, which goes forth in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. This is what this is telling us, right? So let's get a precept. Give me Exodus 12, verse 1 and 2. Because we've pinpointed where we're at, and we reconciled the year. So I just want to make this point of this as well. Go ahead,
Exodus chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, and it reads, "And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you."
So right here it says, "This month shall be the first month of the year to you." So before we can have the first month, because he made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. And we read in Sirach 43 verse 6, he made the moon for seasons. So right here, the moon is our source as far as reconciling and knowing when our Sabbaths and when our feast days take place. So it says right there, this month shall be the beginning of months. It should be the first month of the year to you. So before we can have a first month of the year, the first month must be established in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. This is what this is saying, right? So I want to make a point of that, because you cannot have a first month of the year if the year has not been reconciled. So like I said again earlier, anybody who has kept the Passover prior to the year being reconciled, according to scripture, not according to me, not according to the brother, according to the scripture, that is not correct, because the year has not been reconciled as well. And give me another precept. Give me Deuteronomy 16 and verse 1, because Exodus 12 and verse 2 says specifically, this month shall be the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to us. So before we can have the first month of the year, we must first establish the year. And like I said, we're looking for a new moon day being March 30th. That would be the first month of the year, because today is the last day of our biblical year, being the 364th day. Go ahead, Art, with that precept.
This is in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1, and it reads, and observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto Yahuwah thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahuwah thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
In the month of Abib, we keep the Passover. So in order for us to keep the Passover at its correct time, the year must first be established in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun, and the year must be reconciled first and foremost in 364 days. The very next day starts the first day of our year according to the sun is concerned. So let's get a second witness. Give me Jubilees chapter 6. I'm going to put this up on the screen. And we'll pick it up at verse 30. Let me pull this up. Jubilees 6 and verse 30. Pat.
It's Jubilee chapter 6, starting at verse 30, and it reads, and all the days of the commandment will be 52 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraved and ordained on the heavenly tablets.
So this is telling us right here that the year must consist of 52 weeks, right? 52 weeks is what this is saying here. It says, and the days, the entire year is complete. So the biblical year must be established in 52 weeks for it to be complete. Go ahead and pick it up, Art.
Verse 31, and there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year.
So it says there's no neglecting of this commandment for a single year from year to year. So what this is telling us is that whenever the new moon, if the new moon takes place prior to the reconciling of the year in 364 days, you cannot count that moon as being the first month of the year, because the year has not been reconciled at that point. Again, we went into Enoch 71 and we proved that the end of the year takes place in the third gate when the sun sets in the west. The year starts over again at the next day at the rising of the sun. It said it was the first month, and it said it took place in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. So if the year has not been reconciled, you cannot count the moon as being the first month of the year unless the year has been established. This is what this is saying. Pick it up at verse 32, Al.
Verse 32, scroll it up. Okay, verse 32, and it reads, and command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days. And these will constitute a complete year. And they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast.
So if we keep the command of the 52 weeks and we reconcile the year in 364 days, just as Jubilees is saying, just as Enoch 74:13 said, that the sun and the stars bring in the years precisely in 364 days. It says here, if we reconcile the year and keep this command of 364 days, it says that all of the feasts will fall out according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb the feast. This is what this is saying, right? Pick it up at verse 33,
Verse 33, and it reads, but if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances.
So if we do neglect the command of 364 days, which reconciles the year, it says at that point that it will disturb all their seasons and their years will be dislodged from this order. So we have some people that did not reconcile the year correctly last year, and they're saying that this year is this month, we're in the 12th month, but they're saying this is a 13th lunation. Now, while we do agree with a 13th lunation when it is needed, but the point is that you have to reconcile the year in 364 days. Had the year been reconciled correctly last year, then there would be no need to add or try to fix it on the back end, because it says right here, the command is 52 weeks or 364 days. So it says if we keep that command, we will not disturb their seasons and their years will be dislodged. So for those that are just counting the moon and have already kept the Passover and will keep it, the season has been dislodged. So moving forward, any feast that should take place in a specific season is going to be dislodged. Like I said, there's two equinox. We have the vernal equinox, which is the spring equinox that takes place March 20th, 2025. And we also have the autumnal equinox, which takes place September 22nd. So if you started your year wrongly, when it comes to the autumnal equinox, which is the fall equinox, the feast of trumpets, Day of Atonement, and Tabernacle is going to also be kept out of season because the year was not reconciled correctly in 364 days or the 52 weeks as we're reading here. So let's pick it up at verse 34.
Verse 34, and all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years.
Because we read earlier, also in Jubilees, that the moon comes in 10 days too soon. And we showed that on the chart, how the moon's coming in 10 days too soon, exactly on the demonstration that we gave. So it says, with that in mind, and all the children will forget and will not find the path of the years. Because if you're just counting the moon, you're going to go wrong. And it says they will forget the new moons, the seasons, the Sabbaths, and they will go wrong to the order of the year. Because the year is going to be out of sequence because it was not regulated and not reconciled correctly. Pick it up at verse 35.
Verse 35, for I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after their error and after their ignorance.
So again, if we're not keeping the command of the 364, it says we're going to go wrong according to the feast. We're going to go according to the feast of the Gentiles and after their error and their ignorance. So if anybody is trying to keep the feast of the Most High on a Gregorian man-made calendar, which was created in 1582, you're not going to be able to keep the feast correctly because, again, the calendar, the Gregorian calendar is a solar only calendar in 365 days, and it does not account for the luminary, which is the moon, which we clearly read from the moon is a sign of feast. The first feast listed in Leviticus 23 of all of the feasts there, which is actually is 8 feasts opposed to 7 feasts that we've been taught, because the very first feast listed there is our weekly Sabbath. So if the Gregorian calendar does not account for the luminary aspect and it's 365 days opposed to what we continually reading here in Jubilees as well as Enoch, that a biblical year is 364 days, then that's telling us right there that is no way possible that we can account for anything that the Most High has given us according to any other calendar except for Genesis 1:14, which is a lunisolar calendar. So let's pick it up at verse 36, huh?
Verse 36, for there will be those who will surely make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon.
Go ahead.
For this reason, the years will come up upon them, and they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy, for they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees.
So again, without keeping that command of 364, it's going to throw everything off. It's going to throw the seasons off. It's going to throw off when you're supposed to be keeping the correct times and the correct days. It says that they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy, for they will go wrong to the months and the Sabbaths and the feasts and the jubilees. So if you're going wrong to the months, again, when it comes time for the fall feast or the feast that take place in the autumnal equinox, you're going to be in the wrong season because you started wrong. And like I always say, if you start wrong, you can't end up right. And the way to start right is to keep the command of 364 and to reconcile the year in 52 weeks, as we just read here. Pick it up at verse 38, huh?
Verse 38. And was that verse? No, go back up to 37. I think I jumped. Go back up. Okay, verse 38.
Verse 38.
Verse 38. For this reason I command and testify to thee that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death, thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason, they will go wrong as to the new moons and to the seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of, let me say, all kinds of, what scroll up,
all kinds
of blood with all kinds of flesh. I just couldn't say it right there.
Sorry about that.
That's
Okay,
okay,
so it's telling us again that if we keep the command of 364 days only, it's telling us that for this reason, they will go wrong. If you do not keep this command of 364 days, you will go wrong as to the new moons. So when you count the new moon of the first month, if the year has not been reconciled in 364 days, then that new moon, if that new moon takes place prior to the year reconciling in 364 days, that is the wrong moon. You cannot count that moon. It says you're going to go wrong as far as the seasons, and you're going to go wrong as far as the Sabbaths, because it's not been reconciled correctly. This is what this is telling us, right? So you have to understand is that regardless to what, and you know, and me and the Ak discussed this too. We had the thought that a 13th lunation takes place every 3 years. And scripture does not say that. What it does say is that the command that must be followed is the 52 weeks in 364 days. So if you count the moon as being the first month of the year must first be reconciled in 364 days. And that day takes place on the equinox, which is March 20th, 2025, or whatever year that you're reconciling the year. that moon that you count as the month of Abib must take place after the year has been reconciled in 364 days. And again, that takes place in the third gate, closing out the year. The very next day at the rising of the sun in the east, the first month takes place, or the first day takes place as far as the sun is concerned, in the fourth gate in the east at the rising of the sun. So we just wanted to go into scripture and give some understanding on that as well. So like I said, we're looking for the next new moon, which is March 30th, 2025. That will be, according to Exodus 12 and verse 2, it says, "This month shall be the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to us." So that month, that moon there, that crescent, which is the first light of the moon, that will be the first month of our biblical year, being the first day in the sun, 364 days. So this is where the moon, where the year ends and the year reconciles tomorrow at the rising of the sun. You want to say anything, Art?
No, I think you hit it all, man. It's the way it is. The Most High set it in motion from the very beginning, and it's perfect. And there's no way, as the ox said, that you can keep his feast days on the Gregorian calendar. So that's what's talking about when Jubilee mentions the unclean with the holy and things of that nature in that verse. There's no way that you can keep the Most High's feast on the Gregorian calendar. And it took us a while to actually get the understanding. We labored intently. We went out and did our due diligence on it to get the understanding, because at first, just reading it wasn't clicking. It didn't make any sense. Actually going back in and studying it, as he said before, reading it is one thing, but understanding is another. And the only way you're really going to get the understanding, you have to study it out. You really have to study it out. And so hope that what was presented is edifying and uplifted, and someone actually grab hold to it and actually line themselves up with it, because it's the truth. It's not what he said. It's not his own interpretation. Definitely not my own interpretation. It was thus says the scriptures, and the scriptures don't lie. They are there. And we have to delve into these other books in order to get that understanding.
Exactly, exactly. Like the Ox said, we just wanted to share and give some understanding, some edification on this. And you know, as always on the videos we do, we don't profess to know everything. We do profess to be very diligent, or at least we try to be very diligent in the studies that we do prior to making videos. But at the same time, like we say, we could be wrong, and if we are wrong, just give us the precepts. But I think I can speak for the Ak on this, that we're pretty confident, not in ourselves, but we're pretty confident in the scriptures and the things that we presented today on this video that is very accurate. Enoch is very accurate to what gate it ends, when it ends, the equal parts day and night is very accurate when it starts in the fourth gate at the rising of the sun. It says specifically there, it's the first month. So according to the scriptures, I believe is very accurate to what we brought out. So anyway, you know, again, you know, all praise to the Most High for the understanding, for the edification, for somebody that may see this and get a better understanding. We've been diligent at this stuff for 9 years that I've been keeping the calendar of the Most High, Genesis 1:14. It's been a constant learning process. So this is not something that we learned overnight. It's not an indictment on anybody, but we do. This channel is dedicated to bringing forth the absolute truth of the word, like the Ox said, not according to him, not according to me, but according to thus saith the Most High. So we're very diligent about that. So again, I want to say happy prep day. And for those looking for the Sabbath tomorrow, have a blessed Sabbath day rest. Enjoy yourself and happy New Year, according to thus saith the Most High. So
Happy
with that,
New Year, exactly.
happy New Year, right? This is when the new year is starting over. It's not in January. This is when the new year starts at the rising of the sun in the fourth gate, as the scripture said. So with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.